fully
I did.
presenting
I did.
as a woman.
I did, because I am a woman.
Oh shit!
Ah, she, her.
You've never said that before, right?
I've never said that publicly, no.
You look like Whiskash if his face got a BBL. Well, what is up, Twitter inbreds and overweight dickheads? I'm just gonna get to the point. I ain't even gonna try and dance around the bush and cover the fire with a napkin. Kris Tyson is a freak who wanted to unleash a semen blizzard from his joystick into an embryo's anus. Disclaimer, if you're trans and get offended, then I don't care, to be honest. You're watching the video anyway, so let's begin. This has been a roller coaster ride full of action-packed, high-octane, full-throttle, nuts-to-butts, flips and twists that will even make John Wick's pubes flinch, with a moving storyline with constant plot beats full of many conflicts and side characters going on their own journey in the lost temple of Indiana Jones to find the lost treasure, and possibly the most obvious and open case of a weirdo dropping his nuts in front of national TV. When the news initially broke out, many were acting all shocked for some reason, and other big influencers all of a sudden started playing a game of tug of war to see who can pull the most trans cocks, since those very same creators who would be vocal about everything else suddenly were acting like a scared chihuahua, treating the situation like they were carrying a canister of uranium with a piece of plastic gloves. Let's run through this entire manga and show you that not only was this inevitable, but also as clear as the sun. So let's take a deep plunge through the inner ass cracks and greasy Big Macs of this entire fiasco that would make even the David Hotel bombing look like an episode of Smiling Friends. Previously, if y'all remember, about a year ago, Kris Tyson announced he's going to Dynamax himself into a full-fledged lady. He couldn't snag any bitches, so he decided to turn into one. And he started injecting pink sauce serum into his outer rectum, which of course was met with an onslaught of controversy and people flailing up and down with pitchforks and broomsticks. He became popular for being MrBeast's side chick who just kinda held Jimmy's hand like a spoiled brat walking next to his billionaire father. He's like that one piece of gum that accidentally gets stuck in your shoe and never comes off, and he used to be actually funny and brought a lot of comedic relief in MrBeast videos. However, that all changed overnight when a tweet shedding light on his appearance went viral, and Kris responded by saying that this was only 6 months on HRT. However, this wasn't some zinger that would have you freaking crumbling on the floor and filling up your teacup in tears. He was being serious. But this started way back, when the first picture with him in his Insta without his wife showed his hand without a ring and with nail polish, which set the groundworks for what's later to come. He changed his name from Kris Tyson to Kris Tyson, and I guess he added Ava on there, because why the fuck not? If Elon Musk's kid can be named postal codes, why can't he be Miss Christina? Carrying along, with him mutating into Princess Peach, others were more upset at the fact that he ditched his perfectly healthy family to start dressing up like Harley Quinn if his lips got stung by a king cobra, which was a fair critique. However, he chalked it all to people being Nazis, transphobic. But when the kitchen heat boiled up, he defended himself by saying that he spends time with his son, which is why he doesn't appear in MrBeast videos. But that didn't really track, since he was uploading daily on his new channel and throwing out tweets every couple of hours, arguing with user xboy69 with 23 followers, wasting his valuable time while MrBeast was in Africa helping the poor. Now let's tackle this head on and definitively once and for all. It's one thing if you want to be trans, alright? I may not agree with it, it's your life, I'm not gonna go put my knee on you and spank your ass cheeks like a yo-yo. As long as you aren't causing trouble and stick to your lane, nobody will even bat an eye, beyond a small fraction. But regardless, the objective fact is this: Kris, who claims that he felt like a woman for 7 years apparently, if that's so, why sit around staring at the ceiling fan all this time, get married, make a kid, and then pull out the Uno reverse guard later when dicking it in their nut room no longer works? His meat leaf of a defense was that he was doing this for his kid because it's his better self, which is utterly the most brain-rotted, disjointed, most mentally handicapped bowl of green shit I've ever read in my entire life. I'm sorry, but that defeats the entire purpose of being a parent. When you're raising a family, it's not about doing the things you enjoy, it's about sacrificing all those things and being responsible to ensure your child grows out to be the best he can be in his future. It's your obligation, your duty as a parent, but when you present to him perversion instead of fatherhood, you aren't doing anything for him. You are doing this for yourself alone. You think my dad enjoyed listening to my endless screaming at random hours in the morning because I wanted a Hot Wheels toy, or for changing my pampered diaper smothered in piss? Of course he didn't. But that's what raising a family is about. It's doing the hard things that you don't like, because that's what being a man is. If that's proven too difficult for you, then you can happily fuck off with your hentai dress you got from Ann Summers instead of putting heels on your infant. This isn't a debate, nor a political thing. You can remove the trans aspect of this whole thing and the problem would remain the exact same. Trying to introduce that sort of sexual deviancy when your kid can't even chew on a Cerelac, then you're not taking your job as his mentor seriously, but instead, you're forcing an ideology down his throat, neglecting all his needs simply for your own desires. Again, you want to act like Twilight Sparkle, that's your business. but that also means that you cannot walk 10 meters within a school zone. This also brings back a point that I want to glaze for a bit, and why this entire debacle was predictable and the outcome of his transformation came out of nowhere on the biggest kids channel on the platform. And while yes, people weren't happy that this walking mucus morphed into Ursula on a keto diet, the main audience hated this move from the general standpoint of someone who has a great family and abandoned all of that. Instead of being the father to his child, he chooses option 3. Take the scissors off the desk and cut my beef saber off and auction it to his wife. And while many make the case that trans and others feel a sort of way for years on end before transforming, objectively speaking, they never do. It always just stems from circumstance in their lives, which makes them question their very identity and gender. All normal behaviors now gets attributed to mental illness, and those same mental problems being reinforced as a good thing by the West, and why it's almost impossible to separate a genuine, possibly actual trans person as opposed to someone who's doing it as a coping mechanism. And too often that's usually the case. It's why nearly everyone in the LGBTQ sector commit more crimes on average than straights. And before you type out a biblical wall of text on how I should off myself and walk up to Dormammu for a bargain, this isn't the diss, it's the fact. The same way that more crimes are caused by immigrants and blacks, or that Jews are greedy, it's also why most people who look deeper at Kris' transition were also shitting on him, because this wasn't something that progressed for years on end. It was a sudden button switch. The reason why that is as we have learned, because he's addicted to hentai. A person by the name of Lava, who is friends with Kris, was a 15-year-old minor, and him and Kris interacted often. He became even his Discord mod, and Miss Margaret Baker over here was also friends with him on Snapchat. Now here's a rule of thumb I like to live by. If you ask someone for their Snap, you want a marriage. If you ask for their Instagram, you want to park your tuna fish inside a woman's lasagna dish. It's pretty simple. So that alone should warn the boys in blue to come knocking on your door. But you know what, let's give him the benefit of the doubt for now and say that he didn't want to mash kissers with an underage minor and give him a double sausage and only just wanted to be nice friends. But then this is the snap he sends. Mind you, the person he's talking to is a 15-year-old pretzel and he was 22 when this was sent. Now that alone should warrant an FBI raid, but again, let's say this was a terrible edgy joke, because this is the OG Kris, you know? The Texas cowboy that went on camping and riding on horses. So let's move on to the next stash of proof. I'm skipping parts of their interactions with Lava because I just want to show you the relevant bits that showed his patterns of creepy behavior and how that slowly grew over time to form this apotheosis of evolution. He looks like Beth Smith if he was on his 7th spoon of crystal meth. Next, Kris makes this tweet saying if he should play Fortnite. Lava responds, and the hentai-loving schmuck responds as well, saying this. Still bizarre, but let's be generous and once again say that this was some attempt at a joke. Now this is what I would call the most definitive statement yet. Lava asks Kris if she knows about his hentai collection.
My nigga, you cannot do that. That's not okay.
Yeah, all other passes I gave I'm completely throwing out the window now. No more reboot cards this time around. An actual milk-drinking infant that hasn't even experienced his first boner should know that you're addicted to anime porn. I get today everyone practically wakes up out of their mother's pouch with some sort of NSFW being blasted at your face. Hell, I saw porn at 12. But this isn't normal, nor should it be normalized. We don't care now because we have become so demoralized that those things are treated as just part of the real world.
Guys, we are so close to reaching our goal. Oh my god. One more Patreon and I am releasing my nudes.
At Kris02, will you be my Valentine?
I posted some fire nudes for you. Please no share.
First of all, no, no, and no. You're not going to talk your way out of the fact that this should be acceptable. It's not. Second of all, it's two different things when your friend who's legally an adult decides to dump his addiction troubles onto a fetus. That's him actively doing that, which is predatory on all accounts. Another tweet, and you can just read it yourself. Then we have more and more. Also, I don't get this. Who talks about sexual stuff this much? Listen, even with my own school friends, and we are the same age range, I'll maybe pop a little gay joke like one time on occasion, but it's not the topic of discussion every single time, and that's ignoring the fact that Kris makes these hilarious humdingers to a primary school graduate. Also, keep in mind, I'm pulling my punches here and going off the narrative that Kris was just being edgy. And by the way, he was bisexual at the time according to Kris's testimony, so this adds just a new layer of weirdness to the matter. Next, Lava sends a picture of a banana. You do the math, it's pretty self-explanatory, and Kris responds with this. What in the actual flying triangle fuck? Not only does your face give demons nightmares, but you make the oxygen around you wish for a colonoscopy. What the hell is that? And you're out here dressed like a disabled Teletubby if he was a Zoomies employee, and you look like a failed aborted member of the Furies from God of War. You somehow swallowed a malware virus because you're more deformed than Arkham Joker. You aren't just an abomination taking up space on our planet. You're a whole jar of dicks that's not even worth 5 nail strips. You got tiny balls, your brain's full of goddamn holes, a head built like a Barbie doll's. You beg for nitro by spitting cat calls, you do the hokey pokey on the bathroom stalls, you jerk out to Doja Cat songs, your family left so you pull your Uno cards, you make diss tracks by spinning your arms, your tits look like Minecraft blocks, can you keep up with my fire bars, or did your head drop all the way to the Nigeria Falls? Also, he's so sickly pale, I'm half expecting this albino Elmer's glue vanilla marshmallow monkey to start phasing through objects like Casper. Your lips be looking drier than an Egyptian pyramid, your mom threw you out of the window so the birdie can take you back. What kind of haircut is this supposed to be? Motherfucker ran a drill in hexagons to get this half-eaten melted mohawk and stapled the pubic hairs of Darla onto the ridges of his scalp. How are you 28, yet you look like you lived through the dinosaur extinction event? Like, how's it possible this crippled Neanderthal looks older than Hagrid? Also, that forehead is somehow expanding faster than the universe. You could take all 300 million of MrBeast subscribers and you wouldn't be able to fill up a centimeter of that Dr. Nefarious looking ass 5 head. Alright, I'm done. Now, setting aside the lava kid for a moment and discuss the most compelling piece of evidence that Kris slaps his willy in New York City when he spots a toddler's coloring books, it's pretty well known and irrefutable fact that he is associated with a lolly artist named Shadman who drew Keem's then 7-year-old daughter naked getting fucked by Donald Trump. You wanna know who bought a naked lolly poster from the same person making them and hanged it on his wall? Let me give you a hint. It starts with A and ends in Tyson. Andre from the Lorax. He even proudly announces it with such confidence like he won the lottery. And let's not forget this classic sentence that will be written in his tomb. Last but not least, another victim who came out as a 14-year-old anonymous individual who has shown proof of Kris yet again pounding his balls harder than the Hulk because apparently number 14 qualifies as the perfect age range to mate with someone and make him your spouse, according to Christina, the founder of pedophilia. So can you honestly tell me that this downfall was unexpected? This dude had it all. A nice family, his dream job, and the second he decided to listen to his worst impulses, it cost him everything, in a matter of minutes. Even if everything turns out to be false, the damage is done. People will see Kris as this boogeyman, as the monster who will molest them. Just look at PewDiePie in contrast. Somebody who worked very hard and gets to now live his perfect life with respect and dignity. Also, how can I forget to point out the reaction to this whole situation? The mainstream people in the Poggers army like Ludwig, Pokey, and Valkyrie responded with these chat GPT responses.
I'm still in the process of moving, so I haven't been able to fully keep up, but in the meantime, since I've been tagged a bunch, pedophiles equals bad, trans equals pedo. The actions of one trans person does not mean all. Sucks to see so many anti-trans people act as if it does. I'm hoping Ava speaks up.
But that's not the issue. Why is that being brought up at all? For some reason, there's this constant need to give affirmation to minority communities. The main problem at hand is the pedo stuff, period. Why does anything else need to be discussed? Now let's look at what Pokemon responded with regarding the situation.
I don't know all the details regarding the Kris situation, but I want to make it clear any inappropriate behavior towards minors is unacceptable regardless of who you are. It is a shame that people will see this as an opportunity to attack the trans community as a whole. One person's actions does not reflect on every single trans person, so please don't view it that way.
Hold up. Didn't we just read the same thing? I swear down, these people are actual drones that are wired with JavaScript to read the same line of dialogue again and again. The problem we are talking about isn't the optics of the trans community. If you feel the need to point that out, it's like seeing lava and dumping gasoline on it. Imagine if I did it like this. Hey, this white guy just committed a crime, but hey, not all white people are bad. Like, just shut the fuck up. I don't understand why we have to babysit them just out of this blood-curdling fear of offending a small percentage of internet imbeciles with piercings on their nipples and a Sonami t-shirt who think that grass is a hologram. They aren't the only ones saying this. Here's a random account that garnered a lot of traction. So all of a sudden it doesn't matter that this YouTube celebrity that is followed by millions of kids is a pedophile because, what about the trans community? You might hurt their feelings. Like, why are you inserting an imaginary problem as opposed to the actual heinous crime that this clown did? You state that this will give everyone an alibi to go after the LGBTQ mob because they have a valid motive to do so. And you know what? Yes, I'm gonna do exactly just that since I have a good excuse to do so. You can't do jack diddly squat about it either, so piss off. Lastly, let's look at Kris's response to him getting lobotomized by the entire Wild West. It's basically just a nothing sandwich with two lonely buns hugging it out since he doesn't answer anything at all. The best shit that I ever read in the paragraph is that he got mollywopped off the job 6 weeks from Sunday. So good riddance. Let's see how that $1 million check is gonna save you now, because you can't pop your ugly head onto the screen and make the riverbank. But hey, at least there's some good news. I heard that the Cupcake Crusaders are taking applications right now. Maybe you can apply there, and at least that way you can have an official license for being a kid diddler. At the end of the day, this is an outcome that was always going to play out like it did. This is the natural result of Kris caving into his worst instincts. Otherwise, I doubt any of this would have ever happened. Part of me feels bad for Jimmy in a way. He has done so much good and probably never expected this to happen. His very first subscriber turned into an enemy. So take this as a lesson, everyone. Trying to avoid your issues will only fuel them. At least I can happily say that Team Chandler still wins, since I always preferred my boy Chandler. And just because I hate Kris even more, I'm gonna give you another smackdown, only this time it will be a full anime fight sequence that will reach Guru versus Satima levels of insanity. Make sure to like the video. Have a nice day, and good night.